My entitled family, who disowned me, contacted my girlfriend's abusive parents, leaked out our house location, and her parents broke into my house, physically assaulted my pregnant girlfriend, and we lost our first baby. Now my parents want to reconcile and help us to move on. I lost it and ate the shitty out of my golden child brother. So here's the mess I've landed myself in. I'm 19 and have been with my girlfriend, who's 19, for almost 2 years now. We were careful, but it happened, and she ended up pregnant. It wasn't planned, but I loved her, and I wasn't going to run from my responsibility. I grew up in a strict household where my parents made it clear that there was one way to do things their way. My older brother, 23, was their golden child, always doing everything right in their eyes, while I was the family's disappointment. Nothing I did ever seemed to be enough for them. When I found out my girlfriend was pregnant, I knew telling my parents would be rough, but I wasn't prepared for how bad it would be. They didn't just get mad. They lost it. My dad went on about how I was throwing my life away. My mom acted like I had personally betrayed her. And my brother stood there with that smug, satisfied look he always had whenever I was in trouble. The moment they gave me the ultimatum, leave her or leave the family, I knew what I had to do. I wasn't going to abandon my girlfriend, especially when she was already scared and dealing with enough. So I told them I was choosing her. And that was it. My dad CT'd me off financially, told me I was out of the inheritance, and made it clear that I was no longer their son. My mom cried, saying I would regret this for the rest of my life. My brother just laughed. He'd always treated me like I was beneath him, and now he got exactly what he wanted. I was out. I packed whatever I could carry and left. I wasn't completely broke. I had a job before this happened, so I had some savings, but I couldn't afford much. That's where my best friend's older brother, let's call him Jake, came in. Jake owns a small apartment building, and when he heard about my situation, he immediately offered to help. He let me rent out a tiny one-bedroom unit at a ridiculously low price and never once pressured me. When I struggled with payments, he just told me to focus on my girlfriend and the baby, and that was something I'd never forget. My girlfriend's situation was 1,000 times worse. Her parents were straight-up abusive, controlling, manipulative, and the kind of old-fashioned that would have led to something much worse if they found out she was pregnant. She didn't even hesitate to CT them off. She packed a small bag, left them a letter, turned off her phone, and never looked back. We started over from scratch, just the two of us, figuring things out as we went. It wasn't easy. Money was tight and she had to take a break from school because of the pregnancy and running away. She wanted to help with expenses, so she started looking for a part-time job while I worked extra shifts. Even with all the struggles, we were happy. At least until my family decided they weren't done with me yet. I thought they had moved on. And then one day while I was at work, my girlfriend called me crying. My parents had shown up at our apartment, banging on the door and yelling at her. They called her every name in the book. Gold digger, manipulator. Even accused her of trapping me on purpose. They told her she needed to do the right thing and leave me. I called my dad, telling him that if he or anyone else in the family ever came near her again, I'd call the cops. He brushed me off like I was a child throwing a tantrum and made it clear that when my girlfriend inevitably left me, I shouldn't bother coming back to them. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. Since they couldn't get to us at home anymore, thanks to Jake, who made it clear that any more disturbances would result in a police call. They started stalking her in public. At first, my girlfriend thought she was just being paranoid, but then she started noticing them more and more. Whenever she went out for groceries or just for a walk, one of them would be there. They'd yell things at her, calling her, accusing her of ruining my life, and making it clear that they wouldn't let her keep me forever. She broke down one night, telling me she was scared to go outside alone. I had never felt so powerless in my life. I went straight to the police to try to get a restraining order. But, since there hadn't been any physical violence or direct threats, there wasn't enough justification for one. I was furious. What, were we supposed to just wait until something worse happened? I tried to be home as much as possible, but between work and school, I couldn't always be there. Meanwhile, my brother seemed to be enjoying every second of this. He was always the first to jump in when my parents started harassing her. Always the loudest voice, spewing the worst insults. I knew he had always hated me. He had bullied me since we were kids. But this was next-level evil. I wanted to destroy him. Every part of me was screaming to just show up at his house and beat the shit out of him. But I knew that if I did, I would end up ruining both my and my girlfriend's lives. Still, I don't know how much longer I can hold back. I don't even understand why they're still doing this. I already did what they wanted. I left. I CT them off. I didn't ask them for anything, so why the hell are they still trying to ruin my life? Why does my brother still act like he has to punish me for something that doesn't even affect him? I'm angry, I'm exhausted, and I just want them to stop. So, Reddit, any advice on choosing my girlfriend over my family? And more importantly, how the hell do I make them stop for good? I wasn't planning on updating. Honestly, I didn't have the energy. My life imploded in a way I never thought possible, and I had to focus on my girlfriend rather than spending time here. But now that things have settled, at least as much as they can, I figured I should update, even though this isn't the kind of update anyone wants to read. I saw all the comments on my original post, and I get why people had concerns. Some said I was throwing my life away, that I was being emotional, and that I'd regret sodding my parents off. Others tried to tell me my parents might just be acting out of fear, and that I should be more understanding. I wish that had been the case. I wish I could say they just wanted what was best for me. But the truth is they destroyed everything. And the worst part is they still act like they didn't mean for it to happen. A few weeks after my post, my parents decided to escalate things. Since harassing my girlfriend wasn't working, they did something worse. They contacted her parents. They knew she had gone to see them. They knew she had run away because she was terrified of them, yet they decided to tell them everything about the pregnancy, about where we were living. They gave them our address. I was at school when it happened. Her parents showed up unannounced and forced their way into our apartment. My girlfriend was alone. I wasn't there to protect her. She told me later that they were screaming at her, calling her an embarrassment, saying she had humiliated them. They shoved her, backed her into a corner, and told her she had to come with them. When she refused, things got violent. They assaulted her. By the time a neighbor heard the commotion and called the police, it was too late. They had already hurt her so badly that she ended up in the ER. She lost the baby, and the doctors told us she would never be able to have children again. That's it. That was the end of every plan we had. Our baby, our future. All of it gone in a single act of cruelty. Her parents were arrested, and their case is still in process. I hope they rot in prison. I hope they never see daylight again. But no matter what happens to them, it won't change what they did. I was destroyed. I felt like my world had ended. But as much as I was hurting, my girlfriend was worse. She didn't speak. She didn't cry. She just shut down. I sat in that hospital room with her for days, watching the girl I loved fade into someone I didn't recognize. My parents dared to act shocked. When I confronted them, they swore they had no idea her parents would do something like that. They kept apologizing, saying they never wanted anything bad to happen to the baby, that they were just trying to make us see reason. They said they were genuinely sorry. I didn't care. I trashed their house, broke furniture, shattered picture frames, ripped through everything I could get my hands on. And when my brother decided to step in and act like I was overreacting, I BO'd the SHT out of him. I didn't hold back. Every punch, every hit. I wanted him to feel even an ounce of the pain I was feeling. I got arrested. For the first time in my life, I regretted something. Not hitting him. I'd do it again in a heartbeat. But I regretted leaving my girlfriend alone in that hospital. I should have been there. I should have never left her side. Thankfully, my best friend and his brother showed up like the absolute legends they are. They bailed me out without asking any questions. The first thing I did when I got out was go straight back to the hospital, where my girlfriend was still lying in that same bed. Because for her nothing had changed. I didn't update because, honestly, what the HL was there to say? Nothing good happened, nothing got better. Our lives didn't magically turn around. I don't know where to go from here. My girlfriend still isn't talking. Not to me, not to anyone. I started looking for a therapist because I know I'm spiraling, and I can't afford to fall apart when she needs me. My best friend and his brother and their parents have been checking on her when I'm at work or school. And I'm beyond grateful for that. But nothing can fix what happened. As for my parents, they're begging now. Ever since the extended family found out what they did, they've been completely ostracized. No one wants anything to do with them. Now they're trying to reconcile, offering money, offering anything to get me to talk to them. I don't care. I don't want their money. I don't want their apologies. They could give me $1 billion, and it still wouldn't bring back my child. They destroyed my life, and now they want to pretend it was just a mistake. I want nothing to do with them. Her parents can rot. They deserve everything coming to them. I hope they never leave prison. Srinya, I hope they get shanked in there. I just wish I had a better update, but this is my reality now. It's been a long time since my last post. To be honest, I wasn't sure if I should even come back here. But I've seen the messages, the private DMs, and the people who genuinely cared enough to check in. So before anything else, thank you to everyone who offered advice, support, or even just a kind word. It meant more than you'll ever know. That being said, if you were expecting some fairy tale ending, you wouldn't get it. Life doesn't work like that. There are no neatly tied bows, no perfect resolutions. But I can say that I'm not just surviving anymore. And after everything, that's enough. A year after my last update, my girlfriend's parents were finally sentenced. Their trial dragged on for months, and the whole thing was brutal. I did everything I could to get my parents charged too, because, in my eyes, they were just as guilty. They were the ones who handed over our address. They knew what kind of people our parents were. They knew exactly what could happen. But in the end, my parents had money, they had lawyers, and they had connections. They managed to walk away without any legal consequences, despite my best efforts. They lost everything socially, our extended family, completely. ostracized them after learning the truth, but legally, they got away with it. That fact still eats at me, but I have to let it go. There was nothing more I could do. Her parents, though, weren't so lucky. They were convicted of home invasion, assault, battery, false imprisonment, and involuntary manslaughter of an unborn child. The final sentencing was 25 years for her father, with no possibility of parole for at least 18 years, and 20 years for her mother, eligible for parole after 15 years. They showed no remorse, none, not a single ounce of regret. Even as the judge read their sentences, they just sat there, stone-faced, like they still believed they were in the right. They never apologized. They never acknowledged what they did. I should have felt relief. I should have felt something. But all I felt was emptiness. No number of years in prison will bring back what we lost. After everything, my girlfriend's mental health took a nosedive. There were days when she barely spoke. Nights when I'd wake up to find her curled up in the corner of our bedroom, sobbing into her hands. It was like part of her had died that day, and I didn't know if I'd ever get her back. But slowly, so slowly, she started to heal. She went back to school. At first, it was just a couple of classes, but eventually, she found her footing again. She told me she needed to reclaim her life to finish what she started before it was stolen from her. And she did. She's studying, and I do not doubt that she'll do something incredible with her degree. As for me, I dropped out not because I gave up, but because I found something better. Some of my extended family, the ones from another country who never knew the full truth, finally found out. And when they did, they were furious. Not at me, but at my parents. They reached out, and unlike my parents, they meant it when they apologized. They helped me start my own business. I won't act like I'm some huge success story, but I'm doing okay. My girlfriend and I moved to a new state and started fresh. And 6 months ago, I officially launched my business in partnership with those family members. We've survived everything. Losing our children, losing our families, nearly losing ourselves. And somehow, after all of it, we're still standing. We're 25 now, and we've decided that if we could get through that, we can get through anything. Marriage is still in the planning stages. We don't have a date yet. And honestly, we're not in any rush. It's not about a big wedding or fancy rings. It's about us. About choosing each other again and again, no matter how much life tries to tear us apart. As for kids, we don't talk about it much. It's still a sensitive topic. She still has breakdowns, sometimes random. Moments where the weight of everything just hits her out of nowhere. I don't push. When she's ready to talk, I listen. But I know it's a wound that will never fully heal. I don't know if we'll ever be able to have that conversation properly. For now, we're just focusing on us. My best friend and his brother are still in my life. We don't talk every day, but we check in and grab drinks now and then. They were the only people who stood by me when everything fell apart, and I will never, ever forget that. As for my parents, they're still begging. Ever since the extended family turned their backs on them, they've been trying to get back into my life. They want reconciliation, they want a relationship, they want to fix things. But they don't want to acknowledge what they did. They don't want to admit that they played a part in this. And I don't care anymore. I don't need them. I don't want them. They could offer me all the money in the world, and it wouldn't change what they did. Some wounds don't heal. Her parents can rot in prison for all I care. And I hope they never see daylight again. They deserve everything they got.